We just got out of the Civic Center that's behind me. This was initially just a reunification center. Parents were told that their students were evacuated into this center here and were told to wait until all the students were accounted for and then they could be picked up here. Unfortunately, what we're seeing now here at the Civic Center is there's families that are getting some of the worst news of their life, and you'll see families passing behind me, even coming this other way as they're going inside to learn more about this tragedy that happened here. We did just get a briefing from the Uvalde Police Department from Pete Arredondo. He's the police chief here, and he couldn't give us a whole lot of information. Most of our information actually coming from Governor Greg Abbott, but he said this is a school filled with second to fourth graders, and they confirmed there were deaths, they confirmed there were injuries, and they said they're working on notifying all of those families. And we know that's a lot of what's happening in a lot of these rooms in the Civic Center here behind us. We see families coming out, holding on to each other and crying because they're getting news that they never anticipated they would get after dropping off their children at school today. They fully anticipated bringing them back home, and even that teacher who we have learned at this point who has passed, she anticipated coming home from work today, and that's not going to happen because of the act of just one person. So we're here. We know that there's going to be an additional press conference happening soon where we're able to ask some questions, get additional details about what happened at the school today. We know that the shooting started, the first call came in around 11:32 this morning. We're hearing that the shooter was involved and maybe possibly killing his grandmother before he went to this elementary school. There's still a lot of law enforcement in this area, so we're just waiting for that additional press conference where we're able to ask more questions to school officials, also to law enforcement officials. But you can really feel the sadness as you step inside that Civic Center as families just hold on to each other and try to hold themselves together after something like this.
Lee Waldman, KSAT, and Lee, we really do appreciate your reporting right outside the Civic Center there in Uvalde. And Lee, thank you. Lee reporting on the pain from parents who have arrived at that center now to get the horrific news, whether or not their child had survived this. And she said that was the place where they were informing parents of the 14 children who were shot and killed. Beginning late morning Texas time, 11:32 there in Uvalde, Texas. The first call came in. The suspect again has been revealed as 18-year-old Salvador Ramos of Uvalde, attending high school there. Not clear whether or not he was still a student, but in fact is involved as a student. Whether he was attending class, that's a question that investigators will have to answer in the hours ahead. That he shot and killed his grandmother at some point this morning before heading to that school, where he then opened fire inside the school. Again, unclear whether it was one classroom or multiple classrooms. We heard our reporter on the scene, Maria Villarreal, just from anecdotes from parents who have arrived there. Again, no names of any of the victims have been released. We'll leave that to the authorities. But anecdotally, Maria telling us that the parents are looking for their loved ones, looking for their children, repeatedly said to Maria, among the other questions they were asking her about where to find this information, saying, we're just looking for information on our 10-year-old. That was the age that continued to be asked about, with Maria right there on the scene, which just is heartbreaking to wrap your head around. But again, in America, 14 children shot and killed inside the Robb Elementary School in Uvalde, Texas, late this morning, including a teacher as well, shot and killed. The grandmother shot and killed at some point before this mass shooting began to play out in Texas. And you don't need me to tell you, it has been a horrific couple of weeks in this country when it comes to mass shootings. 10 days ago, we were standing in Buffalo at the scene of that grocery store. 9 days ago, our team in California at that church where a man walked in, a congregation knocking him to the ground. What a time, many questions ahead, and we are thinking, as authorities asked us to, about the families in